In a small house on the outskirts of Kanazawa, a mother named Aiko crouches beside a separate futon laid just an arm's length from her own. Her toddler is already asleep, alone on his own bedding, yet Aiko's hand rests lightly on the edge of his blanket, not touching him, simply close enough that if he stirred, he'd feel her presence before he even opened his eyes. She isn't sharing a bed with him. She hasn't for months. But she has never, not once, let the physical distance become emotional distance. This is the paradox at the center of Japanese parenting that most Western advice completely misses. The first concept here is Sokuji Taio. Written with characters meaning a immediate and a correspond or a respond. Together it means to respond right away. It doesn't mean rushing anxiously to a child's side. It means that when a signal appears, a response follows without delay, so the child never has to wonder whether their signal was received. The second concept is Hitori de Neru, which literally translates to a sleeping by oneself, but within Japanese parenting philosophy it carries an important nuance, sleeping independently while remaining relationally close. The characters break down to a one-person ear and ear to sleep, but the practice itself was never meant to imply emotional separation, only physical separation within a still-connected relationship. The third concept is Anzenkan, written with characters meaning a safety ear and a feeling, a felt sense of safety. Japanese developmental psychologists distinguish this from simple physical safety. Anzenkan is about whether a child's body believes it is safe, independent of whether an adult happens to be within arm's reach at that exact second. Here's where things get genuinely surprising, because Western parenting culture has spent years treating independent sleep and a secure attachment as opposites, as though a child either sleeps alone or feels safe, but not both. Research doesn't support that split. A study conducted at the University of Notre Dame's Mother-Baby Behavioral Sleep Laboratory found that what predicted secure attachment wasn't sleeping location at all, it was the consistency and speed of caregiver response during waking moments throughout the day and night. Physical distance during sleep showed no meaningful correlation with attachment security once daytime responsiveness was accounted for. A second study, published in the journal Attachment and Human Development, followed toddlers through separate sleep transitions and found that children who slept independently but had highly consistent, promptly met daytime interactions showed attachment security scores statistically indistinguishable from children who co-slept. The researchers concluded that attachment isn't built in the bed. It's built in the thousands of small moments of responsiveness that happen around it. Now here's the Western contrast, and it explains why so many parents feel like they're failing even when they're doing everything right. Western culture frequently treats sleep training and secure attachment as a trade-off, as if teaching a child to sleep independently necessarily means withdrawing warmth, or that comforting a child at night will spoil their independence. Parenting advice often swings to extremes, either intensive co-sleeping presented as the only path to bonding, or strict independent sleep presented as the only path to discipline. Both extremes miss the actual mechanism. The problem isn't where the child sleeps. The problem is when responsiveness during the day becomes inconsistent, because parents assume that independent sleep training at night should also mean emotional distance during waking hours. That's the accidental leak, sleep training bleeding into daytime disengagement. So here is how you actually build secure attachment while keeping separate sleep intact. Here is your first tactic, built on Sokuji Taio. During waking hours, respond to your child's bids for attention, a reach, a sound, a glance toward you, within a few seconds whenever possible. This is where attachment security is actually built, far more than at bedtime. The nervous system is tracking daytime patterns constantly, cataloging whether reaching out reliably brings connection. Here is your second tactic, drawn from Hitori de Neru done correctly. Create a consistent, warm transition ritual before independent sleep begins. Several minutes of close physical contact, quiet eye contact, or a repeated phrase, followed by a calm, unhurried goodnight. The separation itself isn't the risk. An abrupt, Emotionally flat separation is the risk. Warmth right up until the moment of physical distance preserves the felt sense of connection, even after you've left the room. Here is your third tactic, aimed at Anzenkan. Throughout the day, narrate your reliability out loud, even for young toddlers who don't yet have full language. Say things like "I'll be right back" before leaving a room, and then follow through exactly as promised, every time. Predictable language paired with predictable follow-through teaches a child's body that your word can be trusted, which becomes the actual foundation of felt safety. No shared bed required. What Aiko understands, sitting beside that futon in Kanazawa, is something most parenting advice never quite says out loud. Closeness and independence aren't opposites. They are built through completely different mechanisms, and confusing the two is what makes so many parents feel like they have to choose. Her son sleeps alone. He has for months. But every single day, in dozens of small, unremarkable moments, he learns that his mother is reliable, present, and responsive, and that lesson, repeated enough times, becomes the only kind of security that actually lasts. If this video shifted something in the way you see how to build secure attachment without co-sleeping, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want more on how the world's wisest cultures quietly build secure, lifelong emotional stability in their children, subscribe. There's a lot more coming. See you in the next one.